In this video called Exception Basics, I just want to real quickly go through some basic exception handling writing with you. And first of all, let's start with the obvious question. What's an exception? An exception is what happens when something goes wrong with our code at runtime, and normally it will break our program. But by using exception handling, we can catch the error, and based on what the error is, we can give the user some guidance, give them another chance, but it won't break our program. So first of all, I want to show you just a simple try-catch statement that we can use in exception handling, and then as we go on through the course, we'll add to this, and you'll learn a little bit more. So first of all, let's open Visual Studio 2008 and create just a simple project and solution to work in here. So we're going to create a new project. I can click right here. If you don't see this for any reason, you can always click File, New Project. It'll take you to the same place. So I'll click Create Project. We want to make sure that we're under Visual C#. You might see Visual VB.net and some other things in there as well. I don't have all those installed on my machine, so make sure that you're under Visual C# Windows Form Application. And let's just call this VTC Exceptions. Take all the defaults. Hit OK, and notice it has created it. Here's our form. Now the first thing we want to do is I'm going to bring the toolbox out. I will pin it out there. Notice I'm just going to click on the Auto Hide button, and I will left click on Button. Notice it's under Common Controls, and I will draw it on the form, and then I will go grab a text box and draw it on the form. Now most other places I've just been double clicking on these, so I thought I'd do a little different. I'll click on the Auto Hide again to make that go away. And now let's talk about just kind of a goofy little program here that whatever integer I type into this text box and click on this button, it'll multiply it times 2 and put the result on the face of the button here. So I'll double click on the button because we want to do all of this on the button there. And so the first thing I want to do is create an integer called A, okay? And I want to set it equal to the text that's in text box 1 times 2. Now, some of you guys already know I'm in trouble, right? Because this is an integer, all right? And I'm trying to take string data, multiply it times a number, and come up with an integer. So I've got to do a convert here. So convert to integer, and we'll do integer 32 just for a little example, and then come down here and close my parentheses around that. Now ought to be okay there. And then for the button 1 text, the button 1.text value, I'm going to set that equal to, and I want to set it equal to A, but again now A is an integer and it won't show up on the string property of this text, so I'm going to have to convert this back to a string. That makes sense? Now that's a pretty simple little program. Let's run it and see if I fat-fingered anything and see if it will work. Now if I put a 2 in here and press this, notice my button becomes 4. Alright? If I put 46 in there and press it, it becomes 92. So everything works. But what happens when I put a string in there? Let's say I put the word mark in and I press it and it sits and it's thinking what's going on now. My program just broke and it's saying, hey, wait a minute, dude. You tried to put a string in here and it tried to convert it to an integer, and it's just all kind of problems. And notice it's saying in the troubleshooting tips, make sure your method arguments are in the right format, blah, blah, blah. I've just confused it, but my program has broken, and now I've got a mess. So here's the fix for that. I can put this in a try-catch block. So the first thing I'm going to do is type try, come down a line, and open a block. Then I will come down under the code and close the block. Now notice when I closed it, it indented that. And what this is called protected code right here. It's inside a try block or a try catch block, and you'll see why we call it try catch in just a second. But this code, any errors that is raised by this code gets handled right down here. I will type catch, same thing. I'm going to start a block, And if an error comes up, I'm going to put a message box and show that an error has occurred. Then I need to close out my catch block. And so notice it's the same code, it's just that it is now in a try-catch block. And the catch, basically what's going to happen here, this code's going to execute. And if there's no problems, then this right here will never fire. But if an error is raised here, the catch block will be fired. So notice, let's run it this time. And notice if I put a 4 in here, a 43, it comes up to 86. If I put a 6, it comes up 12. Now if I type mark in here and I click it, instantly the error pops up. And I can hit OK, and my program's still running, and I can go back and put a number in there. Now, let me show you something else. What I need to do here now is say, only numbers, please. And so now when I run this, and somebody puts a number in here and it works, but if they put letters in here, it says only numbers, please. So notice we're catching the error, we're doing something kind of proactive with it, and we're giving the user a chance to do something. Now this is a basic try-catch or exception handling block, if you will. And this is called structured exception handling. It's forcing us to think in terms of wrapping our code in a try-catch block and thinking about how we're going to offer the end user a chance to fix it or to fix it in code. So in the next few videos, we're going to go a little deeper with this idea of structured exception handling.